Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. There is so much in here. Another ridiculously long video. A big thank you to Soccer Man World on Twitter for the picture you're looking at above. You guys, there's so much, and tomorrow's video is going to blow your socks off. Not that this video won't either, but there's so much coming out now. So let's just jump in and get busy with all this, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Secret Weapon Sophie. After she got back from Italy, she very quietly flew to the United States. She flew from London to New York on Wednesday, March 11th in a very under-the-radar trip. So she left London and she landed at John F. K. International Airport with Mr. Stoner in attendance. That's the private secretary. Sophie was there for the UN Commission on the Status of Women. This is the principal global intergovernmental body exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality, the rights, and the empowerment of women. It works to promote the rights of women and girls. We all know how passionate Secret Weapon Sophie is about championing women's meaningful participation in the peace process and supporting survivors of conflict-related sexual violence. And so she met with peace-building women to discuss their work and reflect on their experiences, and she gave a speech.
Be back once again at CSW as a champion of women peace builders and the victims of sexual violence around the world. I have spent the day meeting with numbers of women peace builders from all sorts of conflicts. The reality has to be spoken that justice for women of conflict-related sexual violence is very hard to achieve. That is the reality we live with. But just because something is hard does not mean that we should not try. Giving opportunity to women to have their day, have their moment, is still important, because for their futures, for them to recover and move on and have a life, they have to know that they're heard. We must keep going in the path towards peace and also to opportunity for women to see justice, because that is the only way we're going to move forward as a world.
A fabulous speech for a fabulous woman. I love that, she didn't do the whole royal thing. She just went undercover to do what she needed to do, and she did it well. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing, and to Carol for also showing us what she was wearing. Now, everybody's making a big deal that she did this when there's uncertainty about the king coming to the United States. There is no uncertainty, I assure you. King Charles will be here for his visit. All right, let's move on to Catherine, the Princess of Wales. What you're looking at is People magazine. That's exactly why they called her Kate Middleton. On March 13th, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, sent flowers and a handwritten message to the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust. This is the specialist cancer center where she previously underwent treatment. She sent daffodils, I believe is what they're called, and they were arranged in a vase, and they have a lot of a meaning because daffodils are the national flower of Wales, who of course Catherine and William are the Prince and Princess of Wales. I love that. This is also People magazine, Kate Middleton and Prince William. Anyway, the state visit for Nigeria, it's been announced that Catherine and William will be the first members of the family to officially welcome the Nigerian president and his wife at the start of their visit on the 18th. That's kind of a tradition because that's what happened when Trump came, and they always seem to be the first ones on the ground to meet everybody. I love that. Let's move on back to Queen Elizabeth. I love this story. She had a very cherished pony named Emma. Emma actually played a key part in the Queen's funeral. And so Mark Stevenson has revealed he is making an oak creation of the black pony. It's nearly completed, ahead of what would have been the Queen's 100th birthday on the 21st. We remember this pony. She was 30 years old when she was in the Queen's funeral. She became an iconic figure. And Mr. Stevenson and his twin brother operate Stevenson Brothers, one of Britain's few remaining workshops, producing handcrafted rocking horses using traditional Victorian methods. And so after watching Emma at the funeral, he was so moved, he's like, this is what I'm going to do. I think that's lovely. All right, let's continue. Let's move on now to King Charles. On the 12th of March, he attended the second annual Sustainable Markets Initiative exhibition and reception. The king viewed exhibits displaying real-world innovations developed by industries, including sustainable textiles, carbon capture models, and energy-efficient building materials. Now, this was launched by the king in 2020. The Sustainable Market Initiative aims to support global transition to a sustainable future. Fabulous. All right, moving on. The Princess Royal, Princess Anne, I showed you the other day when she showed up for Save the Children UK with her husband. They attended the International Financing Review Annual Awards dinner at the Grosvenor House, and that was on March 9th. Well, of course, pictures came out. Well, you know how I am. I have to show you the pictures. I think she looks fabulous. Personally, I wish the pictures would come out a little quicker. You guys know what I'm saying? So I'd be able to show them at the same time. But okay, here they are. Let's move on. All right, here we go. Cheltenham. This is turning out to be very controversial. You'll understand why in a minute. Zara showed up with her brother and her future sister-in-law, Harriet Sperling. They all looked absolutely gorgeous. Mike Tyndall was there also. They stood around, they took the obligatory, photos, and then they went up into the royal box to watch the races. Now, Mr. Phillips and Miss Sperling, just as an FYI, had been dating for like 2 years. They first met in 2024. They made their first public appearance as a couple in May of 2024 at the Badminton Horse Trials. And a statement was issued. Remember, they're getting engaged. We still don't have a wedding date. We still don't know exactly when that's going to take place. Princess Anne was there as well with the 2 kids and, of course, her son-in-law and her future daughter-in-law. Now, let's go on to what I was saying before about this is kind of a sad event, and this just breaks my heart. It really does. Princess Anne was presenting the prize to Connections of Gaelic Warrior, who was the winner of the Cheltenham Cup. She also was seen looking at the Open Hunter's Chase trophy, but it was sad because one of the horses collapsed and died. Envoy Allen, he literally collapsed and died after the race. It was so sad. So a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce and to Carol for showing us what everybody was wearing. And in case you missed it, Peter Phillips' ex-wife Autumn was there also. There was a picture in there. And again, thank you to Carol for showing us what she was wearing. Now let's move on. When William and Catherine were at that humble crumble, in the marketplace, Catherine looked at the woman that was running it and said, wow, she looks familiar. And she started questioning her. Didn't I see you on TV last night? Watch this.
I was on MasterChef last night.
I watched it.
Did you watch it?
No way.
It's so funny. Yeah. I've had people messaging me.
All right, moving on back to William. This is very interesting. They're basically saying that William is basically operating with increasing autonomy inside the palace walls, and that he is actually the one ruling in all but name, while Charles remains on the throne and continues public duties with his cancer treatment. They run separate households. They run different strategic operations. There's a lot of delicate conversations about succession. And so, looks like William is actually doing it all now. He's already said publicly he intends to modernize the institution when his time comes, and he's going to do it differently, and he's going to do it for his generation. So let's move on now to our Harry-Meghan stuff. Apparently, they're saying that Meghan is going to push ahead with plans to expand her lifestyle brand, even though she's being publicly mocked and there's very early skepticism. She's more determined than ever to, try to build this into a worldwide name, while Harry is said to be privately despairing at the soaring costs that are tied to this global brand because they have no backing, they have no partners, which means they have to be footing the bill themselves. Think about it. Without Netflix's financial backing, without financial backing from anybody, Meghan really needs to focus on fixing the products that have gotten so much negative backlash. I mean, how about the wickless candle fiasco? How many people have gotten candles now that we know that came without a wick and she won't let you return it? How about the growing complaints that her signature fruit spreads are watery, underwhelming. They have bad texture. They taste bad. It wasn't that long ago I showed you Megyn Kelly's review of this stuff. I mean, people are just, you get negative reviews, Reddit threads, complaint posts, and that's the brand story unless the brand experience improves. So she's got to fix the product and let the customer feedback change the narrative. So that needs to be her first fix. Fix the product experience, and the packaging is part of that. Because if the jar leaks in transit, the candle looks bad, then that turns into photos and comments online. And now, as it was with Spotify, and I told you we were going to start getting the back and forth as to what actually led to the breakup. We have conflicting accounts. Meghan said she did it because she wanted her desire for greater control. Netflix had growing dissatisfaction with the brand's performance. Meghan supposedly, allegedly has stock issues, and yet Netflix has storerooms full of this crap that they're giving away for free. Netflix executives, including Ted Sarandos, it's being said that she's still on good terms with them, but she wants full ownership of the company's direction. And now she's like, I'm very happy to have full control, and the timing is right for greater success. And it was suggested that Meghan believed the partnership had limited the brand's global expansion. Let me tell you something. Another narrative emerged days later that Netflix executives were not happy with how As Ever was performing. There was little appetite internally to expand the product into planned Netflix house retail spaces. The project with major streaming hits, this lifestyle concept did not sit naturally alongside like Squid Game, Stranger Things, Bridgerton. And so when you get these contrasting explanations of what went on, all you got to do is really think, what sounds more true? Well, what sounds more true is what Netflix is saying. Now, we are well aware, and we've all heard that actually Meghan, on some of the projects, like The Wedding Date, she wants to be the director, even though she's never directed anything and she has no experience in this. And that could have been part of the problem. Well, you know how it is. The Sun had a discussion about this. I want you guys to hear directly from the horse's mouth what was said. Listen to this.
The reality is that Meghan was just an actress and Harry was just sort of a spare royal, and it's very difficult to create successful projects, and I think that dawn is sort of it's on them now.
And I think the other thing, Matt, is that there are persistent rumours that Meghan has always looked for a bigger role in these projects, and specifically at The Wedding Date, that she was trying to get involved in some kind of directorial role. Well, I mean, frankly, why are you going to risk that? Why are you going to take that kind of risk? So, and I think that I do understand their argument, right? Which is their argument. Harry and Meghan's argument is, look, we want to sell loads of product, and we, working with a big company has made it really difficult. Every time we want to send an email or do a this or a that, we have to get approval from them, and we're not nimble enough, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that ultimately, like, my personal view in these kinds of things is, okay, fine, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and let's see, right? Time will tell. If in the summer you're shipping loads and loads of products all over the world, I will take my hat and I will eat it.
And what does Meghan do when things don't go her way? She blames Harry. So apparently she's ripping into him for failing to make enough of an effort, especially now since Netflix has cut ties with her. They've lost everything. The house of cards is crashing down, and she's blaming everybody but herself. Now, really quick, this whole thing about Diana wanted Harry to be king, that's not true. What's come out is that she didn't want him to be treated merely as a spare, which would leave him with a lack of purpose and feeling inadequate, which is part of his problem. He has the spare mentality. He was inferior in school. He was inferior in the military. Yes, she called him Good King Harry sometimes, but she also knew that Harry was very sensitive. He had intense emotions and a propensity to act out, which quite frankly makes him not suited to the role as king. All right, let's move on. Now, what do you do when you have all of this bad publicity? Because you're doing this thing in Australia and you're making all this money, and then Netflix dumps you and they're not even back. What do? Well, you tried for some good PR. So what did Meghan do? She goes to Children's Hospital Los Angeles exactly 1 week after Netflix cut ties with her, the hospital documented the visit on Instagram, showing her spending time with some patients. Now, what shocks me is that, again, she's going on about privacy for her children, and yet she's putting up other people's children for good PR. This is the same hospital that she visited in 2024. Nothing's changed. She went to one area and did some painting with the patients. Then she went to another area and she went to look at patients who were bedbound. And of course, when you're going to go, you have to take a fashion photographer with you to have the pictures taken. Well, some tea came out. Thank you to Royally Sage and welcome back to Twitter for this information. This is very interesting. Apparently, somebody had a friend who was a volunteer at the Children's Hospital. Do you guys remember when Meghan attended the fundraiser in that red dress? I call it the honey bun dress. Meghan apparently called them up and said she wanted the Children's Hospital to be her quote-unquote American patronage. And so they allowed her to attend as a +1. And they thought she would make a large donation and actually help with the future of fundraising. Not only did she not make a large donation, when she was asked about putting in volunteer work for the hospital, she claimed she was too busy, maybe in the future. However, she did send out the press release about attending with the quote about how the hospital held a special place in her heart, and she gassed herself up in it. And as you can imagine, that left a very bad taste in the mouths of the people who actually donate large sums and work to actively fundraise for these children. So since this was spoken about before, I just thought it was really interesting to bring it up. Ugh. And finally, you guys, I have another court update for you. Katie Nicholl. She is a 48-year-old journalist who used to work for the Mail on Sunday. And according to her, one of Harry's friends used to speak to her. Miss Nichols said to the court, and I'm quoting, "I didn't need to sit at home using unlawful information gathering because I had very good sources close to Harry who were talking to me." She testified she met Harry when he was a young man and she'd seen him at social events and at nightclubs, including Amica. And in 2003, she was at a celebrity party at Kensington Roof Gardens, West London, and she said Harry invited her to join him at a party in a private room. She goes, Harry's standing there in the doorway, smoking a cigarette. "Hey, you want to come to my party?" She goes, "Yes, please, because the one I'm at is dull." And not only did he invite her in, he introduced her to his friends, and she goes, "I stayed there the whole evening." And during the evidence gathering, Harry said he could vaguely remember her at the party, but he denied he invited her. And now this journalist has written several books about the royal family. She goes, "I absolutely remember that moment because it's not all the time that you get invited into a party by one of the world's most famous princes." So it looks like Harry's friends would just give the information directly to Katie Nichols. She said, they were not all tight-lipped. They certainly were not. I had very good sources in the inner circle. I've said it before. I'm going to say it one more time. Harry is going to lose this case. And with all the money he's shelling out now for his wife's as ever, this could be the thing that literally pushes them over the edge. If he has to come up with $30 million for attorney's fees. I don't even know what to say, you guys. All right, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, although it's a waste of time, but do it anyway. Leave your comments, make them good. Don't forget to go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.